I don't even know if we sent out a link. So family reunion was fun. We can start off with that. It was amazing. I had a good time. But we would love to hear from you guys. So my first question is just what was your favorite takeaway? One or two things from your experience? Stacy.
Well, I have two. The first one would be a hard tie with both morning speakers, Gary and Jay, his panel the first day, and then Sean the second.
I love it. You know what? Let's back up one second. We probably don't know everyone. So why don't we go down on the line and introduce and just tell a little bit, a second about yourself.
Okay. Stacy Patzer. I'm out of the Grove City office. I've had my license for 7 years.
Melanie Henson, also out of the Grove City office. I've had my license. It'll be 2 years in August.
Yeah.
I'm Liz Henry. I am the Director of Connectivity for One Team, and I run Market Center Mentorship, which is our Speaker. I've been licensed February of 2016. 5 years. Oh, 5 years. Gosh, I'm like, yeah.
So I'm Ryan Reynolds. I've been licensed longer than all of them combined. And I have a team here in Dublin. We won last month. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for volunteering your time too. All right. So anything else? One of your favorite takeaways?
I just love how Gary Keller always is so insightful. I mean, the man knows his stuff. And so you leave there with a lot of stuff in your pocket that you feel like, okay, I can absolutely share this with my coworkers, other agents, and your clients, community, whatever. And then Sean just basically taught you to be happy, and if you're happy, you be successful. And it just carries over. You know, be grateful and be happy, and if you're happy, that it will carry over to your.
And it's like science proves it, which is so crazy. It's scientifically proven. All right, Mel, your takeaways?
I took notes.
Yeah.
My glasses are not all right, I took notes. So, and I don't remember which. I've been re-listening to some of it, and it's all a blur. So, my main thing was, and being newer, you know, I'm kind of looking at like how to generate leads and that kind of thing. You know, like trying to just grow my business, right? So I liked, and I don't remember who said it, but they basically were like, know where you shine. Like, don't, because it's easy to get distracted because there's so many things you can get into, you know? So it's really like, if you don't like a cold call and that makes you shiver with fear, don't do it. So, you know, if you're more of a technical person, focus on like social media, that kind of thing. So it's just kind of like know where you shine and pick like 2 or 3 things where you really enjoy and shine and focus on that and dig into that. So instead of trying to spread yourself too thin. Because I think it's
so easy. That's a great tip.
Then my other thing was database, which we've all been like, you know, database. But for me, like it's like I thought, oh, yeah, I'm on top of my database, but then really was I? So I've really been, since I've been going back through it, like recategorizing. I'm a really big nuggets person, so I recategorize as like bronze, gold, silver, silver, gold. And then just focus on like my gold people are like, you know, the ones that know me, that kind of
That's a really good
and
idea.
My silver people are like the ones that know me and like me, but I don't really recommend me. Maybe. So it's like really trying to get those silvers to golds and those bronzes, you know. And then the ones that I'm like, they're never ever going to recommend me, they get out. So yeah.
I didn't learn that.
Yeah, I like this. I think for me, the big thing was we have the shift with leads is a really big conversation. It's always been preached for a really long time, you know, learn to fish, learn to fish, learn to fish. And so there was this real big shift into now we're talking about buying leads, what that platform looks like. And I know for a lot of us, that kind of took us back quite a bit with it. But I think logically this makes sense because wasn't through the same, how did you go bankrupt very gradually then all of a sudden? And I think that's what happens in the market is we see the volatility really was super gradual, then all of a sudden happened. And now we're really having to take that decisive quick action to pivot and shift. And so that was one of the big takeaways is that time for change is now. How are we reacting to that one? How are we going to change the platform of what we do in business? And as you were talking about the database, the relationship base is massive. Relationships matter across the board. But I think it went even deeper, especially on the leadership aspect, is it's not only with your agents, but it's with your colleagues. And that's the big thing that we always teach, especially in MCM, is that we're not competition with colleagues. And I think that was something that really rang true across the board.
Love it. What about you, Ryan?
Big takeaway for me. So I focus a lot of my time there on the expansion portions of the business. And so you can kind of choose different tracks when you go to family reunion. The first one I went to was back in like 2010, before you guys were all born. And,
Practically.
Yeah, Joan was there with me. But in any case, so the biggest thing I think that blew my mind is how big some of these companies are getting. So Sarah Reynolds has, I think she said 49 locations or 47 locations around the country now. So this whole expansion thing started off as like, hey, let's see if we can do business across town. And then it became like, we're going to try to just put down agents wherever we feel like we want to be physically. Like I want to move to Florida, say, so I'll go to Florida and I'll try and build a team there too and keep my team here. Well, it's changed dramatically to where now they're going to teams that are bigger than my team. We did like 40 million last year, but going to teams bigger than my team and not buying them, but essentially getting them to join their networks. And so one thing I always take away from failing is how much how small I am. Maybe is the thing. You start feeling like, hey, I'm pretty good. You know, it's number one last month or whatever, but the second time I said I'll say it one more time. But it's really how small, how small that I am, and then I guess the second sort of thing I always get from failing is the market information. So the fact that we're not in a bubble, even though the pricing is going crazy, it's going crazy because of the deficiency in inventory versus a defaulting population of mortgages. And so we're going to probably see this continue for at least a couple more years. So it's not something we need to be preparing necessarily for the shift. Right? Well, we always should be prepared for the shift. However, it's not happening this year. But he said.
Yeah, that was really comforting. I think what we've talked, I remember we had three years ago, we had a shift book club where we were talking about what's happening at that moment. And so it's finally that moment that deficiency is starting here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been built up. So we look at the inventory graphs, showed about we're building about 500,000 less homes a year since 2008 than we should have been building nationally. And so that's just caught up. Population growth didn't slow down. Just lack of inventory is what's caused this problem. And the availability of money is the other one. So the cheapest.
One of the classes I was in, Ryan, they did say that big is small done well. It's just small done well. So
so that actually was the secondary takeaway I took from the expansion ones, is that when you look at these guys, like they didn't go from being Sarah Reynolds at 49 locations and over 10,000 transactions. She started off in I want to say in DC. Or that area. And so she dominated the local market first. And the reason you would expand is because there's no other opportunity in your existing market. So you're not going to do that. It's just in fact, nobody in our offices. In fact, I don't think very many people in our market that are in that position.
Absolutely. What's your question?
I have a question.
Talk really loud because we're
Okay. Okay. So when we talk about the shift, and maybe it'll be another couple of years, what's going to cause it to shift? Because as I see it, there's such a great demand out there for houses. I mean, what would make it shift like in 2 years?
It's not going to be a shift like you're thinking. It's not going to drop out. It's going to be flattening. So what's going to happen is interest rates are going to go up every quarter for the next 6 quarters. I think they said last week. Maybe it's 5 quarters last week.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is the affordability. Right now, if you look at the affordability index, which I wish I had the slides up, but houses are really affordable compared to back in the 90s. Actually, I think it was really 80s, 90s. And so as the price of money goes up, people won't be able to afford it anymore. And then that will knock out the demand, which will then cause the price to flatten out. It's not going to be a supply side flattening, I don't think, because the houses they're building aren't like starter houses. You can't even buy a house in Delaware that's brand new for less than $400,000. So, and it's just, really anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I use Delaware because I live there kind of, that's what I consider my town. You can't even build Pleasant Marysville back to that.
Now, they talked about how it's just the pendulum swinging back.
Yeah.
Because they said, once it goes, but I think they said, and those charts, they said, what interest rates back in the 80s.
Yes, I was there.
Astronomically high. And so they said Gary doesn't think they'll ever get that high ever again. But they're right. I think the next 5 quarters, they're going to see it, and the affordability for it is going to be harder and harder.
So actually, quarter point per quarter means we're going to be at a point and a quarter above where we are now. So you're looking at 5.5 to 6.
Wow.
But what I took away from that, though, is when they were talking about that, is that it's a good time for us to talk and look into investment properties, because rentals are going to go up greatly, and then also new builds, and really understand what that's going to look like.
Yeah, the future casting is a good.
And now's a good time to talk to people about new builds, because it's going to take them a year to get into one. So
yeah,
if you can get them someplace now and know
Buy as
that,
much as you can buy right now, lock it in.
Yeah.
Great.
and also we're going to have to adjust with those clients who maybe are approved for 400,000 right now. As the rates keep going up, their affordability of 400,000 is going to change, and they're going to have to start looking at something a little bit lower.
Chris.
On that, I don't know if we're seeing it yet in Columbus, but in Florida, some markets where they're doing new builds, the builders say this will be done at this time, and then we're going to take bids. I mean, they're starting to let people not lock them in and just bid on them like it's on the market, because they know they can get above list. I don't know if that's happening in Columbus yet with builders, but I mean, I think that's probably coming too.
They do lots already. They have like lotteries or whatever you call it.
Bidding on the lots.
I know a lot of people, and this was just in one of, they were talking about investments into the financial basics. They said we were seeing, because there's such a large amount of equity now that is in people's homes, what they're advising their people that have the capital to do it is to take out that line of equity, to turn around and purchase into the investment properties, since they're able to, since money is so cheap right now, be able to say, okay, in the future we see this as a business opportunity because we see the rentals.
Yeah.
Was there any talk about, I mean, I know, I totally agree that over time, it's not going to be a 07, 08, it's not going to fall off a cliff. But seeing these bids of 50, 100,000 over list, paying gap coverage, when that stops, wouldn't it be healthy to have a 8 to 10% correction on pricing? Because if it's 500 and people are paying 550, but then they stop doing that, isn't that true value really the 500?
Well, right now, if the prices stay the same and inflation is going up 7.5% a year, almost 8%, that would basically effectively be that. The other thing that they didn't factor in, I never heard anybody talk about, this is just me coming up with, like, as the baby boom generation either A, dies or decides to finally start selling the houses that they've not sold. Because a lot of them own 2 houses. My parents own 2 houses. I don't know about you guys, but they have one in Florida, one here. And as that starts to shrink and they only have one, or they don't have any because they've moved into assisted living or passed away or whatever, I think we could see a place where it falls off the cliff a little bit, because you say if it all happens at one time, it will just happen gradually is the thing. But I don't think it'll be barring the United States and Russia getting the war,
right?
Which could happen.
I never know. That's a very likely possibility.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because I know there are a lot of people that do have multiple residences and that go out and what happens to those homes.
Yeah. That company's buying too. Companies stop buying. So the reason these companies are buying real estate, like Street Lane and all these other whatever companies, Landis, whatever it is because that's the best investment that they could make right now with the money. They have tons of money. The bond market sucks. You can't buy a bond, but as interest rates go up, the bond market will get better, so that there may be a shifting of money, because there's almost zero risk in government bonds, whereas buying real estate has some risk. So they may shift back to that or to other investment strategies, I guess.
That's the thing. That would free a lot of the market money for the general population consumer.
Be very helpful.
When they buy a house, the street man buys a house, it comes out of the cycle, because normally a house sells every 7 to 10 years, right? So that when they buy it, it's never coming back on the market. So it's almost like they're buying multiple houses every time they buy one.
Are they renting those houses?
Yeah, they turn them into rentals, which are really expensive compared to what you think they should get.
60 Minutes just had something on that. Not to show my age watching 60 Minutes. But they just did something on that rental.
Did you find it on AOL or?
Just MapQuest.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, let's shift. Oh, no, go ahead. Mary.
I was just going to ask Ryan, I have a question regarding this expansion. You talked about these companies that are going and buying so many
what is the advantage? Tell me, I mean, this might be a stupid question, but what is the advantage to regular agents and to a group of agents that might be successful being purchased by or joining in another company that's a little bit larger?
Yeah.
So what's their advantage?
If you sell hamburgers for a living, right? You could join McDonald's franchise and get all of their systems and all of their tools and all of their methodology. Could you make more money than you can?
So they're bringing them all the tools. They're doing all the backroom operations.
They're basically bringing a franchise system to real estate agency.
That's a really good way to put it, because I've actually looked into Sarah Reynolds as an example, and her operation is amazing. And I'll tell you what she has perfected from what I can see from an outsider looking in is lead gen. She's a lead generation machine. So she has an entire ISA department, and all they have to do is say, oh, well, if we're going to open up in Naples, Florida, let's just start advertising there. My call center here is going to start converting those leads for my agents that I'm hiring down there. Like, it's amazing.
I think we saw that reflected though a lot across the board as we had more and more speakers that were from larger organizations that are doing things in the lead generation that have the operations and systems. Gary's always pushed for systems and models. And I think that's being even pushed out even more on bigger operations. Picture
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another good thing about family reunion or mega camp. They just go over again and again and again. If you're not using the 411 and all those tools that they provide for you, then you're kind of like, yeah, I gotta get back into using that. Sometimes you use it and forget about it.
Right. And I would say, like, a plug for KW in general is that there is no lid on what we can do here if we lean into the systems and models that are presented to us. The fact that we have a team selling 10,000 houses a year tells me we have a roadmap for that. All we have to do is implement. Like, not like it's that easy yet. It's there, right? Someone has done it before us. Okay. Do you want to switch gears and talk about, so family reunion is more than just jumping into all of these classes. Like, that's the main point, right? And you're drinking from a fire hose, you're learning anything that you want to learn, but it's also about the experience that you get when you're there, right? We're networking together, you're meeting people from across the globe, and you're going out to dinner in the evenings, and you're attending like happy hour parties. There's a lot happening. Tell me one or two of your favorite experiences. That can be shared. Yes.
That was really fun.
Okay, so a happy hour party.
There was a lot of people there that I had met before.
Yeah. Love it. Mel?
Just getting to know, I've never been up here with the office, so just getting to know, like,
I know, I don't remember seeing her either. That's how many people are there.
Yeah, so just getting to know people. Yeah. And then getting to know I met other agents because I'm not shy. So I talk to people. I actually met, her name is, and her last name I love, her name is Angela Warrior. And she's from Atlanta. So we are keeping in touch and kind of being accountability partners.
I love that.
It's fun just meeting people.
Liz?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, lots of fun. No. You get to meet from my perspective, I come from the PC world, and we're kind of a weird little there's not a lot of us out there. So being able to meet other people that are doing the same things and have the same war stories you do, and really being able to bounce ideas off of it was a really awesome thing. If you come from a leadership perspective, finding your like tribe, what they're doing, was a lot of fun. There's a lot that I learned from it. At the social aspect, definitely. Realtors were like the most friendly people out there, so you make friends with every person. So
yeah. Ryan?
Two experiences I would say. The first one is that being in MAPS coaching, they always have an event, and so they took us to Epcot Center.
I missed that.
Really cool. The other one was that when I checked into my hotel, they said, Mr. Reynolds, I see that you're here for 2 nights, like whatever. Yeah. I said, well, we've actually upgraded you to the VIP suite. So, that's great. I thought maybe they were out of or something, because it's kind of like 10 or 11 nights. Then I started thinking, they probably saw my name, Ryan Reynolds. VIP suite. So, it was literally me in a room no smaller than this room. Like I said,
What? I did not know this.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't have a cocktail
I
party?
just say we could have.
That's true. Why
I
did we?
didn't invite any local.
Oh my gosh.
It was just far away.
Well, did you get an explanation as to why?
No, I didn't say anything.
I
You didn't want to know.
No.
You didn't want to know.
Did they say you look different in person?
I kind of glanced up, and I always have that. Everybody, I probably get recognized as not the Ryan girl several times a day.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
That is so nice.
The social aspect, it is a lot of fun. Epcot was a blast. Like that was like really cool to be able to hang out.
Yeah, I was with Jillian and Monica.
Oh God.
And they were very hungry, or Jillian was hungry. She's probably not watching, so I'm not saying this. There's a taco stand, and she got laser focused on the tacos, which she just ran in the door. We got in the line. Oh, there's no line. Then we have to look around. Like there was a line way down. That we just jumped. Did you know
Well, she was with Ryan Reynolds. I mean,
VIP.
He was number 1 team in our office last month.
right? They probably knew that at Epcot. Wait, I got number 1 team. Team or group? You probably number 1 group.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. How do you think family reunion will have a positive impact on your business?
For me, it's always a good time just to step away from the business, to reflect a little bit, and see how big I could get if I was Sarah Runs, or whoever. And that gets you a little bit of perspective that you don't get by working in business every day.
You realize you're a little fish in a big pond, and it like pushes you to go, maybe this is what I could do. It's also they have so much there. Almost like the raw shish kebab kind of thing, but it's a really good feeling because it's like you're talking to people that are talking the same language, they have the same big dreams as you. And when you say something like, I have this crazy idea, they're not like, oh God, they're like, okay, let me hear this. And they'll bounce ideas off and be really good sounding boards for you. And you learn so much from others that are there too that have been doing it a lot longer. And they're able to say like, okay, don't do this, do this. And you're like, oh, you just saved me a year of party. So that was a cool aspect of it.
What do you think? Yeah.
For me, being newer, one thing stood out. There was somebody who was and I was like to your point, you kind of follow a track while you're there. So I was in my newer track. And there was a speaker up on the stage, and she actually said that 2 years ago, the last time they had an in-person family reunion, she was actually us out there with her notes.
Cool.
And in 2 years, she took action. Really, that's all it takes is action. And she was up there doing her thing. So
that's pretty daggone inspirational.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's the action you take in your business to get you where you want to be. So how hard do you want to work?
Yeah. Stace?
I think, like I said before, I think it's just the motivation that every class you go to, every speaker that you hear just motivates you to get back into it and go strong, use your tools that are available to you. And I know one of the girls, I wish I could remember all their names, but she said she was talking about their team, and she said that he said, well, I want someone like you. How do I hire somebody like you? And she said, well, if you want to hire somebody like me, you got to show up like my boss. And I thought that was a really nice thing to say as well.
Yeah, that's very cool. Okay, so would you recommend family reunion to someone else, and why?
I definitely would. I will say that the one difference that I don't know if this is new, or because I've only been to Mega Camp once, and this was my first time at family reunion. When we went to Mega Camp and we broke out into classes, they were much smaller. And so we had the opportunity to ask questions towards the end of each of the classes. And family reunion wasn't like that this year. I don't know if it's been like that in the past or if it's always big,
This year they didn't have as many as many classes or tracks committed to PC this year, which is kind of a big bummer for me. The classes were this year a lot larger. The number of people there was a lot smaller. So I think they were trying to get back with the group of it, but they did a good job of reintroducing us back to the real world.
Yeah, I mean, I would say.
I
if
think
you
I
go
could
vote,
speak
go
to
vote.
that because family reunion has not been like that in the past. So I think it's because they needed to offer virtual and in person at the same time. So in order to do that, they needed larger sessions that they could record.
Yeah. Yeah, typically mega camp does not have any of those breakouts. So the mega camp you went to where they had other smaller rooms, we've never done that mega camp before.
Oh, really?
When you're at, yeah, usually it's just the general sessions with Gary and then you go.
I like the new breakout.
I love it, yeah.
That was nice.
You go back to your suite.
Get back to your suite.
Did we hear from Mel? Did you say?
Oh, no. Oh, what was the question?
The question is, would you recommend to someone else to go to family reunion and why?
I would, yeah, but go with the right mindset, because if you go and you sit there and listen and you come back and then you just do what you were doing before and you don't really implement, you don't really get anything out of it, then it's not really, doesn't really matter. You can take all the notes, but if you never go back there and look at your notes and make a plan and implement it, it doesn't matter. So, but yes, I would absolutely recommend it.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. If you're wanting to swim, pick up booty. It's a nice swim, you know, it's a nice swim kick to kind of get you moving.
I love it.
Did you feel like that there was something that you really would have liked there, a class or whatever that would have helped you that didn't have? I mean, was there anything
They
you
have it
were
all.
looking
They
for?
They have it all. You just have to look and-
Wish they would have had more PC stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the reason I say that is last time we did a reunion in person was 2020, February 2020, and that was the first year that PC really came out of the gates. So this is, one of the 3 tiers of the Market Center, and we really started to get on fire. And then a month and a half later, COVID hit, and then it just kind of went to the wayside. So I understand why they did it, with what they're trying to do with it. I really wish they would have had more for it, and I really do wish they would have had more of some of the niche that we have for entertainment, with new builds, what that luxury looks like, looking at that in a commercial and really kind of saying, here's what the specializations are, because what I'm discovering is that it's the same concept. Doing something small, really, really, really well is kind of the first crucial point, and being with like-minded individuals that are in that same boat with you and have that same drive, I think would help push us to be really, really great at that one small thing that we do.
Real quick, the other question you asked about go to family reunion or not, I would say definitely go to family reunion. Watching it on the screen is not the same as being there.
It's not.
When you're watching on the screen, you're likely multitasking, which doesn't exist, however you probably are. And you're not paying attention and you're not getting out of your environment, you're not getting a chance to really reflect on things. Unless you were to take and go someplace else, sit in a hotel room maybe, which would really be horrible, but that's what the VIP.
By yourself.
Only for the top team, though, top group.
Right.
Exactly right.
I think that for me, the value of family has always been getting away and being able to focus on the business without working in the business as much, being able to turn the noise level down on at least the business stuff. It's been the relationship building, the social stuff, and getting to hear other perspectives. So you can hear those other perspectives on video, but it's not the same.
Boy, I agree.
So
It gets the creative mind going, it just opens your mind to new possibilities. What'd you have?
Yeah, you mentioned there's different tracks, and you talked about working with people that should be getting into investing. Do they touch on that for realtors? Because I've always heard, only 5% or 10% at the most of realtors actually invest themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious if there's a track that kind of talks
growing.
about
I would say it's a great market there. Probably more and more available.
I haven't seen too many actual classes on investment. I think they all talk about. Gary always is talking about it whenever he talks about you should be using your real estate business to generate capital so you can purchase real estate that will then work for you in purchase. So property management, we actually have a property management division in my team, and we manage about 50 or so homes. A lot of them I own, about half of them I don't. And that's what my strategy has always been, to generate cash through real estate, invest in real estate, and then use that eventually someday to throw off cash that I'll live off of. first.
Build that passive
But
income.
Still passive.
the passive income, they also did talk a lot about the legacy building and generational wealth.
Yeah.
That is something that they're really beginning to push. You saw that at camp last year. You're seeing it in your reunion this year. They're talking about that legacy building over and over and over again. So that is something, at least from what my perspective is, I'm seeing more of where we're talking about not just transactional, one-sided, one-dimensional business, but expanding, finding your niche, finding what you're good at, shining at that, and being able to use that to build up generational wealth.
I have a question. So you guys talked about implementation, things you like, and I know some of you have been doing it, teams, leadership, things like that. What is the one thing that you've implemented or goal that you added from going to family reunion that you're going to be implementing in your business?
Good
What's the one
question. Holding your feet to the fire.
411. I'm trying to.
I will hold you to that too.
Okay. I know, I need it. Actually, just to look at it at a high point on your annual. And then now we're almost in April and I'm adjusting my goal. And where do I need to be monthly now to still get that annual goal? But then even these are the things I need to do each week to make sure I'm getting to that goal. And it's just so much easier to follow it week by week instead of, or even day by day, and kind of look at the month and go, well, shoot, I'm not there, you know. But if you're doing what you need to do each week, then it's a lot easier to get to that. Yeah. More perspective, I guess. Get more perspective on where you can be.
That's good. Melanie?
Mine's my database, like I said. I had worked on it before and thought, okay, I'm going to recategorizing and coming up with my plans for my touches and all that kind of thing, and making sure it's. They did say something about that, like make sure that it's systematic on the back end, but it's organic on the front end. You don't want to seem like a smarmy person reaching out to your database. So just kind of coming up with that plan around the database and.
Good. Liz?
Mine was systems, which is the love language of mine. And one thing Gary Keller said at one of his talks, they were talking about when you talk about the expansion, that was a big thing they did talk about this year, is they said we need to make sure that it's the same uniformly across the board, what's going to work, what's the scalability of it. That's something that's always been kind of in the back of my mind whenever I'm building something, but it was saying take the complex and really simplify it as much as you possibly can to make sure that no matter what market you move into, it's going to function and work, and make sure it works really, really well. And so for me, I've already started implementing. How am I going to readjust what I'm doing to make sure that it's very easy to implement and put into any which situation I'm going to go into?
For us, the biggest thing was database that we had. So I had two of the team members there with me, and they went to a lot of the other operational type stuff. And it's we've already started to go back and clean up our database, pull out people who are really not maybe the right place, and then also making sure we have full information, doing all that, setting up like neighbor nurture type campaigns for everyone who's in the database, or at least automatically touching them once a month. So that was kind of the functional thing we got out of it. The biggest thing, I think that the next step for me in terms of growing my team is the lead gen piece. The difference between all the expansion teams that are huge and maybe the ones that dominate their local market and the ones that are just solo agents or smaller teams is that they have a lead generation focused department, whether it's it's almost always an ISA team. I've tried to build an ISA department 2 or 3 times to hire people to do that work, and it's not as easy as it sounds. So that's the one thing that will get you, I think, from being getting greater from being organically growing to growing exponentially.
Do you guys find that a lot of the messages were to be more purposeful about what you're doing? You talk about the organic, you talk about the database.
Talked a lot about, but no, you talk about being purposeful with. So he has a top 100 mastermind, which I'm not part of, by the way. However, my coach is part of it, and he gets the information and he just steals it and gets clean. So Gary focused in his top 100 a lot about being where you are and focusing on what you're doing while you're there. And then when you're gone from there, not thinking about it. So in other words, if you're doing lead generation, put it on your calendar, and then at that time you do the lead generation at that time, you force yourself to do it, nothing else. But then when it's done, you don't do it anymore. You stop doing whatever that was. with your family, be with your family. If you're working out, work out hard. Do whatever you do hard when you're there doing it. You're not half-assing it all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally.
I love it. Any other questions for our panel?
Leads, buying leads. What was the discussion about that? Because the time when I went to, I don't even know what year it was that I went, Gary was really down on the purchase of leads.
Mhm.
And so I heard somebody say that that's not so much the case anymore.
It changes too. I think since Zillow failed, maybe.
I think so. That and
Since what?
I don't know about
Zillow failed.
Zillow failed. With
They
the
closed their.
hold on, no, go ahead.
What?
What?
You gotta keep up here.
So remember when Zillow was going through and buying houses?
Yeah.
They were going through cash offers. That failed miserably.
Yeah.
That was a very short lived, 6 months.
It was probably longer than that, but it was going really hard for at least 6 months.
It
It lost $3 billion.
Yeah. A lot of money. So I said this earlier.
Question in regards to that, it's interesting how Zillow failed on that, yet other companies that are coming into our market are buying houses with cash.
They're different
It was a
strategies.
different program.
Zillow's problem was that they made the assumption that their estimates were correct. If anybody else is their own estimates, they're way off. So they were buying houses overpriced, paying too much, putting too much money into that afterwards, and then selling them less than they bought them for. And so business model didn't work very good. But going back to your first question about Zillow, though, I think Gary said, he made a comment. I'm like, what did he just say? But he said that whether you're buying Zillow leads or whether you're working through Boomtown or pay-per-click leads or something like that, and the way he said it was that it was okay to do. That was the first time I'd ever heard him say that.
Yeah, because he's always been so down on that.
That I think there was an audible like what just happened across 7,000 people's faces.
Well, he also said I think every lead is sold 10 times or something like that. There's 10 times as many leads.
12.7 times.
12.7. That's what it was.
Each lead is sold 12.7 times.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, you just take the number of leads sold divided by the actual transactions.
Well, what about how many companies there are that are supposedly selling you leads? I mean, I think I get 5 emails a day.
Yeah.
From some company, if not more, saying I can get you leads. I can get you leads. Just do the.
I think the big thing though, and this is what I understood from that one, is he was saying don't base your entire business off of that. You have to have a healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Focus on the database, and that can be a supplement.
Exactly. That was the big thing. It was the relationships matter. It was making sure to nurture. I know Dana's really big on the experience thing, and Gary can help on that one. But it was the first time he ever said like, "This is the way the future is going. This is how it's going to be." So this is what I took away from it, and what I've shared with our mentors and our PC is that we need to, it's lead nurturing. How do we convert? How do we nurture? Because this is not low-hanging fruit for everything. We need to make sure we understand the long game for what that looks like.
One of the big things that I took away from branding is that your brand should be an experience. And if you invest in your community and invest in your database or your client base, you grow along with those families, and then you end up with their children or their grandchildren and their brothers and their sisters. They have a baby, you send them a book, or you're just investing in your own the database that you already have and the clients and the community. It will come back to you.
I love it.
Yeah,
Right?
nurturing
It
your
doesn't
database.
change.
Just nurturing it.
And you can supplement with leads. And to kind of add on to it, the office is looking at bringing in leads. We have a company that Dana's been working with really before family reunion. She had this on her radar. I don't know exactly how close we are, but I think pretty close to bringing it in for people that are interested.
It's tough, and there's a percentage. I mean, the people
Yeah, you pay for it.
Really clear understanding, like it is a very large chunk of percentage. So this is not a oh my gosh, we make this really have to work and you have to be on top of it.
They're not easy to work. Leads
Nope,
are not
it's all
easy to
about the
work.
follow-up.
Yeah, it takes-
That's why the ISA team is the biggest thing it gets from people who are pretty good size to be.
Yeah, when you figure that
they're
out.
working the leads,
Right.
or because they're generating their own leads. Sounds to me like they're generating their own
They're
leads.
doing everything.
And that's the hard
It's a
part.
mix.
She's like, can I join Sarah Reynolds' team? Right.
I
Me too.
Right there.
What about relocation? Is there any discussion about the process of relocation companies and whether or not that's still
Realize.
a big chunk.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I don't know any statistics, to be honest with you.
I think that's a big opportunity that our company misses.
We didn't hear much about reloads. I know that the lead process was very similar to the reload process in regards to just like the percentage taken out, paperwork required for it, but they really have not spoken much.
You're talking about percentage, meaning is split of the commission.
Yeah, referral fees for it. I
Yeah.
know that was something they didn't really talk a lot about relocation. They did mention in one of the classes I was in about how we're seeing a bigger push away from commercial spaces and more towards people wanting what's the word we use, like work from home basically.
Well, I bet.
Second offices, there we go, thank you. And that was kind of a big thing and a big shift.
I just wonder if maybe companies aren't doing that much relocation anymore because people are working from home. It would be nice to know whether or not relocation is still a big.
Did you guys hear anything about reloads?
I think most of their reload top executive tech folks. They're not doing reload regularly.
Yeah, so don't get receipts.
Not like in the old days.
Join me sometime. The big thing statistically, one thing I did forget that you guys may have to help me with the numbers. I think it was one of the main sessions that said that look at when you're marketing or doing communicating with people. I think that the thing was like 5% of emails get open, maybe 3% of voicemails get listened to, but 92% of text messages get opened. So it's something dramatic. Yeah, quite those exact numbers, but it's 92. So if you have campaigns that are emailing people stuff, might as well just turn them off and turn on the texting ones.
That was a big thing.
You really have no choice with texting. It comes up whether you want to look at it or not.
Right. Well, you get lots of weird texts, right? Yeah, you do.
I think both of our phones are in front of us right now, just blowing up. Like, gosh, yes. Text messaging. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Big right now is like a lot of things.
No, number one team.
Right.
Was texting versus email, was that across every generation even?
Yeah, well, it breaks down generationally, but at least I don't remember them breaking it down generationally.
I don't think they did. I don't think it's as much a generational thing. I just think it's
Ease of.
I mean, you may have to make the font a little bit bigger, but I'm sure.
My parents have figured out how to text, so everyone can text.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
Well, the problem is now you got to get everybody's telephone numbers. That's not that easy.
Yeah. Well, the point is your phones are about to start blowing up with lots of spam texting. And so there'll be lots of other applications that will come out that so you don't think if it's not from somebody you know, it probably won't come through. Because you think about how many people will answer the phone being in the real estate business. If it's not somebody that's in your phone already, how many times do you answer it? Do you?
It won't be anyone.
Oh wow. I'm terrible with that. If it's not something I know, I probably not answer.
My phone won't even ring.
Because I know
It's
it's
not a
you,
number
so
that's in my.
Mine says potential spam, but I'm like,
But then if they send you a text message first and say, hey, is it okay if I call you? You're like, oh, okay, well, I can take a call.
Yeah. And then I'm like,
So that's different. So maybe your campaigns, instead of phoning you, you text them first and say, hey, I can do
Going
the
through
first 100.
texting and just saying, I'm updating my database. I don't have your birthday or your email or your phone number or whatever. What is it? And they just respond with their email or their birthday or whatever. And I'm doing a birthday campaign.
no.
That's just you.
I don't know what operation yours is. Yeah.
I've noticed too, like the Twilio or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I would get no response when I send those text messages, but if I put it on my iPhone and I text it, even though it's the same 614-740 number,
It's blue.
Do you put your
it's
signature?
blue, and they answer and they know. And Apple has the thing where you can share like your name, so they know my name, my picture, and I can even put that I'm an agent in the thing, and I'm getting responses. So I think that statistic was interesting about text messages.
That's a really good point because I noticed more and more as we do more Apple updates, you put your name in a text message and it pops up. And it's like, this potentially might be this person. Do you want to update this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to text.
You could start your texts on Twilio with, hi, it's whatever, and that will be the first thing that will pop up on their phone. And then maybe they might be more likely if they could open it. Because that's a lot of work to go in and.
But I also don't like. I don't know Twilio. At one point, it was sending like after the fact, like you can unsubscribe or what. You know what I mean? That was like I didn't like that either. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's a good.
Maybe we need
stop. Like stop what?
We need a class on how to do that. Yeah, Trulio.
Jen Vickers.
Yeah.
Jen Vickers.
Yep.
She knows how to do it.
She sure does.
Yeah.
She does Tech Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got, initially, I assume you've got to put in all everybody's name and telephone numbers, right?
In command, yeah. Yep.
Back that database.
Yep. It's gold.
That's
So
where
you
you,
call your data bank.
Your database. Oh,
Yeah.
that's where the DTV2s come in, because I get into the habit of just pulling up my database and starting with the A's and
Yeah.
scrolling through it, and then I'm like, where did I leave off last time? So if you add the DTV2s in there, then you know exactly where to start.
What is that? The what?
Database.
Do the database too.
Do the
Two
database.
letters of the database every week.
2 letters of the alphabet.
So it's like A and C,
Oh,
B and Y.
okay, I
So
get
it helps you run through the entire alphabet systematically. And then the other thing they were talking about, the database, and this is also updating it, is having more calls to action with it is a big thing. Because they were talking about, like, we use the forward method, everyone knows the forward script, but they're also pushing further now. It's like, how do we continually push for more and more calls to action to bring more and more value back to that experience? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's always the offering or something like that. Every time you talk to them, you should make them on.
Every single time, yeah.
An offer of what?
Anything of
Offer
value.
for response. Yeah.
So it's a call to action. So it could be things like, so for example, one of the things we were talking about, especially in the MCM world, and we did personally for us, actually with the PMI, with our housing prices and appraisals going up so much, we were actually able to turn around and cancel our PMI because our LTV was under 80% based off of what our home value is, which was amazing. It's only $65 a month, but $65 is $65.
Yeah, people would love to save
And,
that.
Yeah, so they come back and add up to it, and it was just a call to action for those in your database that maybe have been in their house for like 5 or 6 years. Maybe they don't plan on moving because the way the market is, but what else can you bring value to that? Connect them with the lender if possible, or whatever that case may be, so that you're always able to say, hey, I saved you money, or you're looking for this, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. That's a great example.
Yeah, they were calling it MOFR.
Gopher?
MOFR, more offer for immediate response.
Gopher.
Yep.
I think it will. Real bad.
That's a good idea.
Started something very appropriate.
That's a good idea, though, to touch your database with that, going back and to check out your 20%.
It was because we got something in the mail from our mortgage company, Bank of America, and I thought to myself, well, why not? I mean, I pull comps in my own house all the time because I'm curious. And it was like $105 for a reassessment. It ranges from 105 to 250 typically. They go out and have an appraiser do it. It takes them probably 2 to 3 weeks. And they came back and said, hey, you qualify for this.
Wow.
And
Do they give you a value of your home?
they did give us the value of our home. Yeah, it's crazy. We actually, our home equity is more than what we own our mortgage, which is bananas to me.
Oh,
I know. I was like, oh, look at us. Adults here.
VIP suite.
What did you say?
VIP suite.
That's right. It's in your future.
But that was something that I waited until I personally did it and go through the whole process. I talked to a lot of different lenders. It was a great way for me to actually reach out to lenders as well as a call to action. Let me ask some really good questions for you. Is this something that you have more information for me on? That kind of stuff. So our MCM agents and I talked to our mentors about it. It's like, let's do this. Like, this is a great way, especially if you're a newer agent, and this is for my newbies. Like, if you are just getting into it, you know more people than you realize, and you want to be an expert. I don't care if it's like you're younger and it's your mom's best friend. Call them, say, hey, let me walk through this. You're my first, guinea pig on this one. Here's a great call to action. You can become more and more of an expert in the word of mouth. You can really build your database in a lot of different ways.
Hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for all
Anything else?
Check if you can get your PMI off if you don't already own your home cash.
Yeah. Thank you guys for your time. This has been good, valuable information. Cool. And I'll bring Lisa in and she's going to put on the keynote speaker. Okay, good.
So good.
Ryan, can we have your autograph?
We
Right
drew
here.
him in, Joan.
Right
Drew
here.
him in.
yeah, very good, everybody.
That's you.
Yes, yes, yes.
There's probably potential spam.
Probably.
Is it
Nope.
800 number, yeah. How do you like that? Every day, I mean,
Hey, I want to give you
Report
the
thing, right?
we're just gonna play it.
You can tell me all, but it's rainy. My husband's at a golf trip. It's
Oh,
raining.
no.